Coming to you from Studio 14, this is Healing with Words. Part 6, The Honeymoon. This stage of the process is where the next group of couples leave counseling. Even after I've warned them of this inevitable phase, I still lose them. So here's how it plays out. They begin the difficult process of examining the affair. Everything is brought out into the open, all in an effort to demystify what was once mysterious and covert and clandestine. It's called accountability. All questions related to the affair are answered. Emotions hit an all-time high. Tears flow freely. We begin to deal with the issue of trust. Trust, I remind them, is the glue of any relationship. Without this glue, there is no relationship, no bonding. But trust, as we all know, takes a long time to build and can be easily lost in a second. For example, I can faithfully make my car payments on a regular basis. But if for one reason or another I fail to make a payment, chances are I may receive a letter from the loan department addressed to Dear Scum-Sucking Pig. The trust built between the financial institution and me has been hurt. They may think twice about doing business with me in the future, and that is understandable. I had made a covenant with them, an agreement. I did not keep the agreement. I'm sure that they have probably been hurt in the past by other individuals who were not entirely faithful in their agreement, and so they are justified in their feelings. If this trust is important to me, I would benefit from, say, writing a nice letter to them, explaining my situation, begging for mercy and understanding, and eventually doing what needs to be done in order to repair my credit line. I need to give them a reason to trust me again, and hopefully be in good standing with them. In other words, I must prove myself trustworthy. In the couple's case, the marital trust has been severed. It needs to be repaired, whatever it takes. Trust, I explained to them, is a two-way street. He, on the one hand, has to prove himself trustworthy. That means that his behavior will have to change. He will spend more time with his wife. He will faithfully call several times during the day just to see how his wife is doing. He will faithfully call her before he leaves work, and he will faithfully come straight home. He will listen to his wife when she senses that there's something funny going on between him and a female coworker or acquaintance, regardless of whether it makes sense or not. She is allowed to be suspicious. She, on the other hand, has to risk allowing him to prove himself trustworthy. As my old marriage and family therapist professor used to say, you can't trust as long as you're looking. That means eventually she will have to turn her head away and allow him to prove to her that he is being faithful. It is extremely crucial that he be careful not to betray that bit of trust that he has gained. I often use the metaphor of the trust tank. He should frequently pour trust into this tank, but ultimately, she controls the gas cap. In other words, she ought to unscrew the cap and allow him to pour. Otherwise, he will become discouraged and resign. Let's say that this goes on for some time. He is really behaving well. They're both going to counseling and dealing with a lot of strong emotions. Trust begins to accumulate. Bonding develops. They fall in love all over again. He begins to court her and woo her. She enjoys the attention he has given her. He turns out to be the most loving husband that anyone could possibly have. One day, they present to counseling as scheduled, except there's something different. Googly-eyed and Twitter-pated, wearing Hawaiian shirts and sunglasses, giggling for a straight 15 minutes, they proudly announce that they're going on a cruise or camping trip or cross-country drive. In other words, they're taking a second honeymoon. Just the two of us. Alone. No kids. They're with the grandparents. Yes, no, they're all for it. No, we took out a loan. We are going all out. We are shooting the works. The whole enchilada, the whole 9 yards, the whole kit and caboodle. The time of our lives. The honeymoon we have always wanted. This could be dangerous. Have you ever taken antibiotics? My pharmacist friend tells me that it is crucial that one take the whole dose when it comes to antibiotics. He explained that quite often people who are ill will begin to take the medication, and after several days will feel better and rationalize that they do not need to finish the medicine at all. My friend cautions that the directions should be followed carefully, and that if the directions say to take the whole dosage, then the whole dosage should be taken. If you don't take the medication as prescribed, the condition could be worse than before. Something similar happens in the counseling process. The couple has worked through some important issues. They feel better about each other and about the relationship. They have exposed feelings like never before and have had these feelings validated. They have safely exposed themselves emotionally and psychologically. They decide to invest in their relationship to seal it with intimacy. What better way to do that than with another honeymoon? After all, they are experiencing a new beginning, a fresh start to their newfound closeness. Often this honeymoon is even better than the first one. This time there's no anxiety that is typical of the first honeymoons. They're not exhausted from the wedding ceremony and everything that led to it. They are more sexually mature than before. They're more aware of what pleases the other spouse. I usually tell them to enjoy themselves, but to be careful to take the whole dosage. That is, to make sure they return and complete the counseling process. Unfortunately, very few actually return. Honeymoons tend to be sweet and intoxicating, dripping with bliss and fantasy. They soon forget about their woes and their past trouble and their therapist's last name. They rationalize that everything is better now. They need not finish the process. Well, what happens to those couples that do not return? Well, eventually they go through a mourning process. I'm Bill Cruz, and this is Healing with Words. We'll see you next week.